You listen to the Treps Unite podcast, episode 16. Hey, what's up guys? Jeff Gargas here, and did you know that only 35% of business startups make it past 5 years? That means 65% fail. So listen, whether you own a company, or you're looking to start a company, or you're working to grow within a company, you need business acumen. That's business intelligence, business savvy. Whereas Kevin Cope, New York Times bestselling author and founder of Acumen Learning, defines it, that's understanding how your company makes money and then acting to improve that money-making process. Acumen Learning has trained thousands of companies and business professionals around the world in more than 30 countries, and their trainings have been implemented in 18 of the Fortune 50 companies. So if you're a business professional looking to advance your career, an entrepreneur or small business owner looking to grow your company, or simply looking to build your credibility, head over to seeingthebigpicture.com/Treps to get 50% off their core training and start building your business acumen today. Hey guys, Jeff Gargas here, and you are listening to the Treps Unite podcast, where we are all about connecting entrepreneurs and helping you grow your business. This is episode number 16, and my guest today is Kevin Cope. Kevin is the founder of Acumen Learning. Now, Acumen Learning is a world-recognized leader in client-specific business acumen training. Their trainings have been implemented in 18 of the Fortune 50 companies and have been taught in more than 30 countries around the world. Now, Kevin is not only a very successful executive and entrepreneur, but also a highly sought-after keynote speaker and a New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal #1 best-selling author with his book, Seeing the Big Picture, Business Acumen to Build Your Credibility, Career, and Company. Now, Kevin has been extremely generous and has given me 10 signed copies of his book for me to give away right now. All you got to do is head over to trepsunite.com/Kevin, enter your email, and click the I want the book button, and boom, you're entered. I'm going to select 10 randomly, get those out within the next week and a half here. So head on over to trepsunite.com, do that, get yourself the book. It's a fantastic book. For now, sit back, relax, and get ready to connect. This is the Treps Unite podcast, episode 16, with Kevin Cope. All right, guys, I am here with Kevin Cope. Kevin is the founder of Acumen Learning. Acumen Learning is a world-recognized leader in client-specific business acumen training. Their trainings have been implemented in 18 of the Fortune 50 companies and have been taught in more than 30 countries around the world. Kevin is not only a successful executive, but also a highly sought-after keynote speaker and a New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today best-selling author with his book, Seeing the Big Picture, Business Acumen to Build Your Credibility, Career, and Company. Kevin, I want to first say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and chatting with us today. I'm excited to kind of dive into your brain a little bit and learn a little bit about your journey as well. But first off, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Jeff, and appreciate you having me on your program here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I assure you the pleasure is all mine, so I truly appreciate it. So I want to get right in with you here. So can you tell us a little bit about Acumen Learning and then a little bit about yourself? What is it that you guys do, and then how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, let me start with myself first, and then I'll kind of lead into Acumen Learning. So maybe most importantly, my 30th wedding anniversary is coming up in August. So,
oh, fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. And my wife and I, we have 6 kids, ages 10 to 28, and 3 grandkids now. So kind of my passion, my favorite thing to do is to be with my family. And as far as the business, one of the reasons I started the business, we've been in business 12 years, was I wanted the ability to work with people that I chose to work with. And that included my family as well. A lot of folks would tell you to stay away from that, but I've kind of embraced it. I've had 4 of my sons work here, a couple of them now, and I really quite enjoyed that aspect of it. But as I mentioned, we started in 2002, and we've grown every year in our history. And even in the downturn, we actually grew quite nicely. And so we've been fortunate to have that kind of success. And what we do is we work with organizations in helping build their individuals' business acumen or understanding of how a company makes money. And we've trained tens of thousands in over 30 countries. And so quite excited about the work we're doing as an organization.
Very, very cool. And I love what you're doing because your success depends on the other people being successful and you helping other companies grow and realize their dreams. And that's such a an awesome business motto in my or business model in my eyes. So very, very cool. So let's talk about your book for a second here. Seeing the big picture, business acumen to build your credibility, career, and company. Can you tell us a little bit about who's the book for, and then what can we expect when reading it?
Yeah, great question. You know, the book first came about for a couple of reasons. One, we'd been doing the training with organizations for several years, and so the content was kind of there, and the book then captured the content. And so it's a great way to reinforce what people get in the training, whether it's the e-learning or some of the live training that we do. And so that was kind of one reason for the book. And the other is it was really recognizing, and part of the reason we started this company is I recognize that individuals really tend to specialize as it comes to business. Now, they might be great at design, they might be a great engineer, maybe a great salesperson, a great marketer, but they don't tend to have this big picture sense of how a company makes money. And so I find that people are functionally brilliant, but not necessarily, they don't see that big picture or have business savvy. And so the book really came about to kind of fill that need. A lot of people call it an MBA in a day. So a lot of folks that experience, our e-learning or our training really recognize that, boy, they say, I wish I'd have gotten that a lot earlier in my career. And so it really is a way to get a sense of that big picture of how a company makes money. And so who's it for? Well, it's anybody that wants to be successful in business. And that's kind of the target audience. The first chapters really help you understand a business model of 5 business drivers. And then the last half of the book really goes through into financial statements and really helps individuals understand how to read financials and also what are the key levers you want to look for on how you can kind of pull those different strings, those different levers to improve a company's financial performance.
Very cool. Now you just touched on it, so let's go a little bit deeper in there. You talked about the 5 key drivers that are necessary for growing your business. Can you dive into a little bit with us?
Yeah, so if you've got a piece of paper in front of you, or you can visualize this in your head, think of a kind of a diamond shape. And maybe if you're drawing this on a piece of paper, about a 4-inch diamond shape. And the top point on this diamond is cash. The right point on the diamond is profit. The bottom point is assets. The left point is growth. And then right in the middle of those 4 is people. And people refers to both employees as well as the customers they serve. And so those are the 5 drivers: cash, profit, assets, growth, and then right in the middle, people. Now, the origins of the model, as you think about the first 3, cash, profit, and assets, those simply reflect the 3 financial statements that all successful companies and entrepreneurs have to think about. Cash is the statement of cash flows. Profit, of course, is the profit loss. Assets there at the bottom, and that refers to the balance sheet. And the reason growth is there is that to build value in a company, to attract and retain the best people, to stay innovative, you need to grow. And you make all of those 4 happen: cash, profit, assets, and growth. Those all happen because of great employees connecting well with your customers. And so with this 5-driver business model, it's a framework in which to think about how a company makes money. It's also a framework in which, excuse me, to assess your business decisions. And so as you're thinking about maybe making a decision, use those 5 drivers in mind to get a sense of how will that impact those key levers. As you're running a company, boy, if you're not paying attention to those 5 drivers, ultimately any one of those can create a downturn for a company. Now, I find with those 5 drivers that they're very interdependent in nature. If you focus on one of those, it has an impact on the others. So for example, growth, if you're focused on growth, you need to pay attention to the other 4 drivers. Because if you're focused on growth, that will use cash. In the short term, it will shrink your margins. It might also reduce your asset strength. And growth can have positive and negative impacts on your employees and your customers, or people right in the middle. So while these are very interdependent in nature, you can't ignore any one of them over time. You may focus on one, but again, you've got to recognize the trade-off that can have with the other 4 business drivers. So it's a very kind of dynamic model, these 5 drivers, very interdependent in nature, very synergistic in nature, and over time you can't ignore any one of them without creating real challenges in an organization.
Now they're all interdependent on each other. are of the five, is any one of them more important, or they should be the primary focus at maybe the beginning or a certain point in a company in your mind?
Yeah, great question. Part of it depends on where you are in your life cycle of your business, or even which one you might be struggling with. So, for example, at the very beginning, of a startup, and the number one reason any company will fail if it does is it underestimates its cash needs. So, in a brand new startup, you've got to protect cash. You've got to pay attention to that. But once you kind of get up and going, and maybe you've become more mature in your business, most entrepreneurs, most business leaders tend to then focus on profit and growth. Those two probably get the most attention for a mature company who's kind of out of that startup phase. And then I'm always a real advocate at any point in your kind of tenure or any point in your company's history, that you've got to take care of people. I think part of our success at Acumen Learning has been it's great content, but I've also surrounded myself with really great individuals who know their role, who work hard. And so I tend to see people, remember that's both employees and customers, is important throughout. But early startup, probably cash is going to be number one. Once you've kind of matured as an organization, growth and profit usually are the two that probably get the most attention.
That makes complete sense. Thanks for going into that. It was very insightful there, and
Yeah.
I agree 100% that people definitely the key there, and I think that's probably the reason why it's in the center of everything there in your key driver. So very cool. Now this next question, I've been really excited to ask you this one because you're someone who has had a great deal of success. You're spoken incredibly high of by anyone who's ever worked with you or heard you speak, or watch a YouTube video of one of your awesome keynote speeches. But we all know success never comes without struggle. So can you tell us about a time that you failed? Tell us about that struggle, and then what did you do to overcome it? And then more importantly, what did you learn from it?
Yeah. Boy, I can't even think of one. No, I'm just kidding. There are many. But I'll tell you the first one that comes to mind. I joined the Covey Leadership Center in 1989. Stephen R. Covey, great individual, and it was a great organization to be a part of. We were growing rapidly. It was exciting times. I was a shareholder in that company. And when that company was acquired, I was 36, 37. I was sitting on, at the time, what was enough cash. I had a financial position, not cash, but I had enough ownership in stock that I thought I was set for life. So here I am, 37 years of age, and I think, boy, I want to do something different. I want to spend more time with my family. My wife was a cancer survivor of several years, and so I was kind of refocusing a little bit my time and energy around, things that maybe I wanted to do, more time with the family, maybe some personal development things. And so I sort of early retired at age 37, and probably within a year to 2 years, the value of I was in a lockout period with my stock, so I was paper wealthy, but that stock dropped from the mid 20s, it's 25, $6 per share, down to below $1. And so very quickly, my financial circumstance was turned upside down. Where I thought I was financially set for life, all of a sudden I was not. And boy, that hit me between the eyes. It hit my ego. It hit my financial security. And it really brought a lot of questions so what am I good at? Was I lucky, the first part of my career? And so I had to kind of recreate myself. And I tried a couple of things, including day trading. So if you think about the timing, 1999, 2000, 2001, that was a great run up and then also a big disaster. And so I lost money doing that. And so I really had to recreate myself. And I started Acumen Learning in 2002. And I'll tell you, I went a couple of years without taking a paycheck and was actually putting money in. And that was a significant challenge for me. As I mentioned, really hit my ego. But I got to tell you, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. It really helped focus my energy very much in the business. I mean, I was cold calling for 2 years in this business, something that I hadn't done for 20 years or 15 years in my prior career. I had to really focus and do the tough things. I had to go all in. It also gave me more confidence as I've come through this, and the company is doing extremely well today. And so, in hindsight, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I think it humbled me a bit. It helped me gain confidence in appropriate confidence in where I did have strengths, and also I've got a greater appreciation for success today than I did the first time around. I think I might have been too young with that success, but this time around, I genuinely appreciate the success the company is having today. Anyway, Jeff, that was a long, drawn out answer, but I appreciate the question.
No,
And,
that
and
was a
yeah,
beautiful answer. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you really sharing that with us. You really took us there with you, and I felt that ego getting hit there, and that's so. I really appreciate you sharing that story. That's a fantastic one, and I hope you guys listening are hearing what he said. Is that was a tough one. You know, you were doing good. You thought you were ready to retire, and then boom, now you're in trouble. And if you guys are listening, you know, Kevin didn't let that knock him down and put him out for life. He turned it around and he fought through that burn on his ego and ended up building what's now a fantastic, successful business and providing insanely well for your beautiful family. Which, by the way, I have to tell you, I just happened to be checking out a YouTube video where you share pictures of your family, and you have just an
yeah,
absolutely gorgeous family. So I wanted to
yeah,
make sure I mentioned that to you as well,
yeah. Thank you.
because I am expecting a daughter very soon here. So
Oh,
I was,
congratulations!
thank
Your
you.
first.
Uh, a first daughter. We have a 2.5-year-old son, so he's about to
Uh,
be a big brother. So, and I know you have at least two daughters. Do you have more than you have two daughters, right?
yeah, on the tail end, 10 and 12.
That's right. Yeah. So fantastic. So congratulations on such a beautiful family, and I love that story. So thank you for sharing that. I didn't think it was drawn out. I thought it was the perfect length. So fantastic. Now let's flip it on the other side. Let's talk about one of your favorite successful moments.
Yeah. Um, I got to tell you, I think it's right now. We just finished up our biggest month in our history. Matter of fact, it was 42% higher than our biggest month ever. And so I got to tell you, it's right now. I honestly love what we do as an organization, and part of that is because we're doing quite well financially. We're well above our peer group. Um, we focus on not only growing the business but our profit margins, and we're much more profitable than the average company in our industry. But the other thing that I'm really excited about, and that I maybe as much or maybe even more proud of this aspect than our financial performance is we've built a great organization with a great culture. Probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I realized that we were doing well financially as an organization. We were beyond any kind of risk of going under because we had a great model, good growth, good profit margins, and so things seemed to be running well. And so at that point, I realized, you know what? So we've got a good business. Now I want to create a business that does good for its employees, that we create a culture that's enduring that people want to be part of. And so I feel like today, not only are we doing well financially, but we've got a culture of people that care about each other, that enjoy working together, and they like being a part of this business. And so I believe we're a good company that does good, if that makes sense. Do well financially, but we also are about doing good things internally, doing good things together, and also helping our clients and individuals in meaningful ways. So I got to tell you, Jeff, right now for me is probably a time where I'm most excited in my career.
That's fantastic, and it's a great. I think your business and what you've built there is a great model for so many businesses to take a look at because you are doing good, but you're also treating your team good. You're taking care of your people, which is in the center of those key drivers, and
Yeah,
making
take
sure
care
that
of people, and they drive profitable growth in your business. And so I like to look at that as the virtuous cycle, meaning if you take care of your employees, who then take care of your customers, that generates profit. And as you generate profit, that allows you to invest in growth. And when you get profitable growth, you can really invest back in your people. Uh, a wise individual used to say, no margin, no mission. Meaning, if you're not profitable, you can't take care of your mission. And of course, if you've got profit and no mission, then that's not really meaningful. And so I really like that virtuous cycle of people, really engaging people who generate profits that allow you to grow, that then allows you to reinvest in your mission, in your people, and your customers as well.
what do you think, or what have you seen that is the biggest mistake businesses often make that leads towards failure?
Yeah, probably a couple of things come to mind. One is, as I mentioned earlier, if a startup's going to fail or a business is going to fail, it underestimates its cash needs. So you got to take care of cash. You've got to watch that. Another thing that I think gets in the way, and I believe it was Michael Porter of Harvard who said this quote. He said, "It's better to have a grade B strategy and grade A execution than it is to have grade A strategy and grade B execution."
Hmm. Great
In other
quote.
words, yeah, in other words, I find, entrepreneurs and some companies so focused on trying to recreate their strategy that they never get to executing well. And I believe strategy is important, but sometimes you've got to just stay with the strategy and then really execute well on that. And so I'm a real advocate for getting a decent strategy in place, but then executing like crazy. So better to have a grade B strategy and a grade A execution than the other way around. So I think that also gets in the way of companies because they lose focus, they chase after every opportunity, and they never really execute well on one core competency.
Fantastic. So let's do three questions that I ask all of my guests here. If you could give any new entrepreneur one piece of advice, what would it be?
Um, I think I would suggest that you spend time as an entrepreneur every week stepping back and working on the business, just not in the business. So the challenge is, with an entrepreneur, if you're starting a company, maybe it's just you, maybe you're surrounded by a few folks. It's really easy to get sucked into the business, meaning you're a doer. So, you're part of manufacturing or, delivery or design. And if you don't step back as an owner or as an entrepreneur and really look and focus on the business, meaning looking out strategically, where are we headed? What potential threats exist for the company? What opportunities do you see? And so I think my advice would be spend time each week working on the business, not just constantly in the business. And then as your business grows, more and more you need to be working on the business and not in the business. But if you're an entrepreneur in a small startup, take some time each week to step back and think about the overall strategy and in working on your business.
Great piece of advice, and very not the easiest thing to do, but I agree is so important because I think as if when you're starting, uh, especially if you're a young entrepreneur and you're getting in and you don't have that team yet, you get that what I've heard called that superhero syndrome, and you think you can do everything, and like you said, you get stuck being in the business, and you never step back to figure out what am I actually trying to do? Where are we trying to go? Where's my vision? What's my mission here? All I'm doing is designing my logo or fixing the website or whatever. So fantastic piece of advice. So I also love to give my listeners something actionable during every episode. So what is one thing any entrepreneur can do today to help grow their business?
Yeah, I would become a student of your business. Um, I think it's important now. It may be that you've got a good finance person or a good accountant or a good CFO, or maybe you'll develop that someday. But I would never delegate that completely to somebody else. I would always be one that understands how my company is making money. I'd always have my pulse on a few key financial metrics that I track regularly. So, what I would do today is I would start building your business acumen if you don't have it, or if you've got a fair amount, continue to build that. So, my advice would be really become a student, of the business, of the financials. Again, that doesn't mean you have to own it throughout the career of your business or the life cycle of your business. Again, it's appropriate to have an accountant, a CFO, your own finance people, but don't disconnect yourself from that. So become a student of business, of financials, and if you don't have much, I'd start right now, kind of getting an understanding. I think business acumen doesn't automatically make you a great leader or a great entrepreneur, but without it, I think it's really hard to become one.
Very, very true. So let's get a recommendation from you. Do you have a favorite book outside of your own, or a podcast, or a video series, or blog that you would recommend to us?
Yeah, here just a few months ago, I started searching for the top TED Talks of all time. And if you do a search right now, it'll come up with the top 20 TED Talks. And in particular, I had the whole list here, but in particular, there are a few that I've listened to recently that I quite liked. Jill Bolte Taylor's My Stroke of Insight was one. Simon Sinek on how great leaders inspire action. Brene Brown on the power of vulnerability. And one other I liked, Daniel Pink, The Surprising Science of Motivation. So, those are experts in the field. Those tend to be, that list is part of the top watched TED Talks of all time. And so you might do that search and there might be some nuggets there for you. There were for me.
Awesome recommendation. And I will put a link, as always, guys, for you at trepsunite.com with a link to that search. I'll do that for you so you can find it. And also there will be everything that Kevin and I have talked about, including links to go check out his business and also his book, Seeing the Big Picture, Business Acumen to Build Your Credibility, Career, and Company. Last but not least here, this is the Treps Unite podcast where we are all about connecting entrepreneurs. So Kevin, how can we connect with you?
You can send me an email at Kev, that's K-E-V, at acumenlearning.com. Acumen, A-C-U-M-E-N, learning.com. So Kev at acumenlearning.com. And for those that would be interested, we'd love to give you a 50% off our e-learning tool. So the cost of that would be $97. And for the first 100 that sign up for that, we'd be happy to throw in a free copy of the book, Seeing the Big Picture, for that as well. So would love to connect with you that way and hear from you.
Wow, fantastic. And how can they get that offer, the 50% off?
Yeah, so send us an email at that email address, kev at acumenlearning.com, and let us know you're interested. If you want to just say hello, feel free to do that. If you're interested in the e-learning, just let us know and we'll get you signed up for that.
Wow, fantastic. And I'll have a link in the show notes, as always, with your email address as well. Kevin, I can't thank you enough for that. That is an awesome, awesome offer there, so truly appreciate that. And I truly appreciate your time and you sharing your stories and just your insight on everything. I truly enjoyed it. I know everyone's getting so much out of it. So thank you again so much for taking time and chatting with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks for having me, and good luck to all of your entrepreneurs out there. It's a great ride. I got to tell you, you may not have worked as hard in your life as you are now, but I'll tell you, the fruits of it are amazing. So yeah, stay with it.
Well, thank you so much again, and I hope to connect with you soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you.
And there you have it, another great episode of the Treps Unite podcast. Thank you so much for listening, taking some time out of your day to hang out with me. I truly appreciate it. As always, you can find links to all the resources discussed in this episode over at trepsunite.com, along with all of our blog posts, videos, and a whole lot of fun. Head over to trepsunite.com/more Twitter followers to pick up my free ebook, How to Get More Quality Followers on Twitter. 5 simple strategies to increase your followers and engagement. As always, the awesome music from today's episode was brought to you by the Chuck Schaefer Picture Show. You can find them at cspsband.com or search for them on iTunes. Thank you again for listening, subscribing, rating, and reviewing. I look forward to connecting with you soon.